Trump warns of crackdown on trade cheats. President Donald Trump Friday delivered a broadside against unfair trade practices, warning of a coming crackdown from the United States on violations, cheating or economic aggression. But in a bid to avoid souring his blossoming relationship with China and other nations in the region, he stopped short of placing the blame for everything from product dumping to currency manipulation and predatory industrial policies on other countries. The current trade imbalance is not acceptable. I do not blame China or any other country, of which there are many, for taking advantage of the United States on trade, Trump said during a speech at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit here. I wish previous administrations in my country saw what was happening and did something about it. They did not, but I will. Trump complained the United States has for years opened its economy with few conditions, allowing other nations to take advantage of America's low trade barriers. We can no longer tolerate these chronic trade abuses, and we will not tolerate them, the president declared. In order to achieve what Trump dubbed the Indo-Pacific Dream, he said the United States and its allies must reject intellectual property theft, forced technology transfers, subsidization of industries by state-owned companies, state-sponsored cyber attacks and corporate espionage. We will encourage all nations to speak out loudly when the principles of fairness and reciprocity are violated, he said. But Trump also sought to ease fears the United States would exert unfettered control over the region, stressing he hopes to achieve mutually beneficial trade relationships. Above all, we seek friendship and we don't dream of domination, he said. During his speech, Trump roundly rejected multilateral trade deals like the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which he withdrew from on his third day in office. He instead touted the importance of bilateral agreements, saying, "What we will no longer do is enter into large agreements that tie our hands." But as he spoke, other world leaders and ministers were meeting elsewhere in the city to discuss just the kind of multilateral trade deal Trump railed against. The remaining signatories of the TPP deal are working to try and hash out an agreement known as TPP-11. TPP-11 would create a massive trade zone around the Pacific Rim while lowering tariffs and other trade restrictions between the involved countries, in addition to likely bringing in regulatory chapters on issues such as the environment and labor rights. Trade ministers and other officials from these nations have engaged in intense discussions on the deal over the past few days here in Da Nang. Some delegations have expressed optimism an agreement will be reached before the end of the summit Saturday, while others are more guarded. Thursday night, both the Mexican and Japanese trade ministers said a TPP-11 agreement had been reached in principle. However, François-Philippe Champagne, Canada's Minister of International Trade, took to Twitter to rebuke this claim, saying, "Despite reports, there is no agreement in principle on TPP." New Zealand's Trade Minister has also tempered expectations a deal will be reached in the immediate future. Meanwhile, earlier Friday, Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak shared during a panel discussion that trade ministers would resume talks after working until 3 a.m. this morning, adding he was reasonably confident a deal would be reached. Stephen Chiobo, Australia's Minister for Trade, Tourism and Investment, told the Australian Broadcasting Corporation Friday he believes a deal can be struck in the next 24-48 hours. A statement regarding TPP-11 is expected tonight, possibly from Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, but exact details on what will or will not be included in the prospective deal are scant. Trump's speech Friday came midway through his 12-day tour of Asia. He arrived in Vietnam after stops in Japan, South Korea and China. He'll continue on to the Philippines after a brief swing through Hanoi. The United States is prepared to work with each of the leaders in this room Friday to achieve mutually beneficial commerce that is in the interests of both your countries and mine, Trump said. That is the message I am here to deliver.